Good afternoon. I'm Carmel Angelo, Mendocino County CEO. I would like to say hello to all of the Mendocino County staff, and I would like to thank you again for all the work that you do for serving our 90,000 people that live in Mendocino County and some that don't live in Mendocino County. Thank you for your work. This has been quite a challenging couple years. We thought that 2020 was going to be it, and then 2021 started with a bang. And here we are. We're still dealing with the pandemic, and now we have moved on and added the drought. As you may know, Mendocino County filed an emergency declaration for drought just a week or so ago. And then, of course, the governor also declared a drought in the Russian River watershed. So we think it's going to be quite a challenging couple years coming up now with the drought, and certainly on the heels of the pandemic. What I would like to talk about today is I would like to give you an update on the pandemic. I would also like to talk about reopening Mendocino County and talk about telecommuting. I think that one of the good things and unintended consequences of the pandemic has been that more and more of our employees have been able to work from home, part-time or full-time. And I think it's actually showed us that we could have a remote workforce and still be very effective doing county business. So I would like to talk a little bit about that. The pandemic continues to pose a threat to all of us, Mendocino County, the state, the nation. We know here in Mendocino County that Governor Newsom has said that he plans on reopening the state come June 15th. Do we want the state reopened? Of course we do. Do we want to be able to go out, sit in a restaurant, inside or out, go to our local store? Of course we do. But we have to remember that Governor Newsom is reopening the state because he wants to reopen the state. And the concerns are that as more and more people are out there and they're mingling, that we must continue to mask and socially distance. Just because the state is reopened does not mean that the pandemic is no more. We still have a pandemic, and we still have COVID, and we still will have cases of COVID. We know to the north of us, Oregon is bursting with positive COVID cases. We know that their vaccination rate is not as high as California. Our hope is that we will not repeat any type of surge here in California and that people will continue to get vaccinated. But that is a challenge because I think that there is an incongruent message to the public when we say we are opening the state and at the same time say, but you must get vaccinated and you must continue to mask and socially distance. But please remember, those are the tools we have. Vaccination. If you haven't been vaccinated, please schedule your vaccine appointment. And also the social distancing and the masking. Those are the tools we have, along with hand washing. And we must continue those. We don't want another surge. We don't want the different variants that are out there. COVID is real. And I think that most of us have been touched in one way or another by COVID. Remember, it is real. Keep yourself safe. Mendocino County's pandemic response has been swift and aggressive. We have saved lives, and I believe that. And so here we are today. As of April 27th, we moved into the yellow tier. We are the first county in the Northern California region to move into the yellow tier. We moved into that tier because our COVID positive rates are low and our vaccination rate is still high. We need to continue going on that trajectory. So what does it mean to be in the yellow tier for our county? It means that there is more capacity in numerous venues and additional capacity where all attendees show proof of a negative COVID test within the last couple days. The CDC and the California Department of Public Health sent a notice this week on a new masking guidance. So for fully vaccinated people, wearing a mask is voluntary when outdoors with members of your household or small gatherings. And who is considered fully vaccinated? People are considered fully vaccinated for COVID if they have 2 weeks or more after they've received their second dose, and that's in the Pfizer or the Moderna 2-dose series, or 2 weeks or more after they received a single dose Johnson & Johnson. There are multiple benefits of being fully vaccinated. I won't go through those. I would just recommend that if you have time that you go on the CDC website, or you go on the California Department of Public Health website, or you go on the county's website and you look up the latest information on COVID. So again, if you haven't been vaccinated, we absolutely recommend that you get vaccinated. If your family members are within an age group where they can be vaccinated, that you also promote the vaccination within your family. I know that this could be a very sensitive issue because we do have people that do not believe that all vaccines are the way to go. I have no opinion on that. I just know with COVID that in my discussions with Dr. Galley at the state, what he has said is that if you have not been vaccinated for COVID, you will most certainly get COVID at some stage. And so I would like to see everybody stay safe and healthy, and that COVID not resurge, whether it's within the county system, whether it's within your household, or whether it's within your neighborhood or our county. So again, I urge you to get vaccinated. I urge you to continue to stay safe by social distancing and masking. We know that California is experiencing some vaccine hesitancy, and what that means is people don't want to get vaccinated. And if you're one who doesn't believe in vaccinations and you know that the state is reopening on June 15th, why would you want to go for a COVID vaccine? Again, what we know is that without a COVID vaccine, you most certainly run the risk of getting COVID. And COVID can be a very challenging flu virus, whether it's just 2 weeks of flu symptoms or whether it's longer symptoms where you have complicated medical problems. So along with that, I would like to move to telework and talk a little bit about that. So we made the decision to allow teleworking during the pandemic as a way to keep our employees safe, keep you from getting any type of infection from clients coming in or from coworkers. And what has happened is it really has paved the way to potential permanent telework workforce. So we know that it can be a viable option for our employees in various jobs. It adds value to the county. It's a more efficient use of time. It also helps the county attract people and retain a diverse workforce because we allow teleworking. It's had a positive impact on the environment by decreasing employee commuting, reducing the carbon footprint, and ensures the continuity of government by expanding the worksite alternatives during emergency situations. So we're actually very happy to be able to continue teleworking after the pandemic is over. Well, the pandemic is not over yet, so we are still in the process of allowing our employees under this emergency to telework. So because of the benefits that we have experienced with teleworking, we are working on a permanent teleworking policy. And this new policy will be out as soon as we can get it out. It will not be for all employees because it will still be the decision of the department head. And if a department head believes that there are departments that cannot function with a remote workforce, then that is the decision of the department head. I can say during this period of time, over the last 12 months with commuting, actually teleworking, what we've seen is less staff coming into work, more staff working from home, and certainly more departments providing that flexibility for their employees to work from home. So the guidelines that we think we will be utilizing in the future will be eligibility requirements to ensure that the employee's request is conducive to teleworking, that responsibilities outlined for teleworking costs to the county and employee. We will be looking at specific terms and conditions, worksite requirements, scheduling and hours guidelines. But I think the one guideline that we've always had within our county system is you could work from home if you could be at your office or your place of employment within 60 minutes. And that may be one of the guidelines that we continue with. Now, reopening, just very briefly to talk about that, as I've already said, as many of you know, June 15th, the governor plans to fully reopen our economy. And that is because the vaccine supply is sufficient for Californians 16 years and older, and hospitalization rates have been stable and are low. And as long as those two factors persist, the governor will reopen. We know that this is good news, but it's also important to continue with the COVID-19 guidelines from the CDC and from California Department of Public Health. So reopening will mean a dramatic increase in interactions with the public, as buildings will reopen and in-person meetings will gradually increase. The County of Mendocino does encourage all employees to engage in a safe reopening plan. And with that, again, I don't want to keep saying this, but masking and social distancing are important. We would like you to continue that. And here are some other guidelines that we're hoping to enact as we reopen for county business. We want employees to stay behind physical barriers that are provided by your department when interacting with the public. And we know that we do have those in multiple departments. We would like county employees to continue to hold meetings remotely when possible and practical. You don't have to sit in a room, don't do it. Avoid holding large gatherings or meetings in shared spaces or conference rooms. And during this last year, we have absolutely limited many of our trainings and our meetings. And so we would continue to do that. You would only meet in person if needed. And that, of course, is the decision, again, of the department head, the staff, and the committee that's meeting. Continue teleworking, working from home options for eligible employees. Obviously, continue to wash and sanitize your hands, wipe down surfaces, get vaccinated if you haven't already. We would like you to continue to get COVID tested. Some county employees get tested every 2 weeks. I think it's a good practice, and even if you've been vaccinated, getting tested regularly is still a good practice. We want you to self-screen at home. So if you have a temperature, you're not feeling well, stay home. And obviously stay home if you have any flu symptoms at all. And review the county's website. When will this pandemic be over? Well, as the state reopens, we think that the pandemic will subside as time goes by. And we hope that by the end of the calendar year that we will be through most of COVID. So reopening, again, we will be reopening as the state reopens after June. We'll be looking at the buildings reopening. However, that will be dependent on our vaccination rate staying up and our COVID positive rate staying down. And then, of course, working from home. We consider this a very viable option as we move into the future in Mendocino County, that our employees will be able to work from home. So with all of that, I would like to say again, thank you for your work. Thank you for everything you do for Mendocino County. We know that this has been a tough time, not only for the people that we serve, but for our employees, our families. Many of you have experienced COVID yourself. You've experienced relatives that have been COVID positive, and you may have experienced loss. And on behalf of Mendocino County, I'm sorry if that has occurred in you, in your family. We know going forward that we are still in it together, and we will do the very best that we can to continue to serve the public and keep our staff safe. So thank you very much. Have a good afternoon, and I will try to talk with you again soon.